So we're obviously not in an oversize overmass truck, we're in a B double truck. However, what we're going to do is just go through what we need the oversize overmass vehicles to do at this site, because it is a little bit out of the ordinary. Down the project site is constrained, and what that means is that if you're over width, and by over width I mean more than 2.55, then there is a chance that the project will require you to stop until they can safely allow you to pass through the site. And now in order to pull over, we need somewhere safe for you to do that. So the project has constructed oversized overmass bays. As you're approaching the site, it's a safe place to pull over and wait directions from the traffic controllers, who will allow you to proceed as soon as it's safe to do so. If you're heading westbound or eastbound, what to do when you're approaching the project roadwork site, in order to, I guess, give the information that you're on oversized overmass and you're approaching the site. And some of the information that they can convey is, what is your configuration? What are you? What are you over width? Are you over length? Are you over mass? The traffic controllers need to know that information, and then they can make adjustments on the site ready for your arrival. The sooner you call up, the better. The sooner you're letting them know that you're on your way and that you're heading in that direction, you're an oversized overmass, the better they're going to be able to accommodate your arrival. So we do ask that you start to make early attempts on approach to the roadwork site to say you're on your way, and then await direction from the traffic controllers. It's also really important that we achieve positive communication. So when I say positive communication, I mean that you get a reply. We don't want to assume that you've broadcast a message and that it's been received. We do need to wait for positive communication. So all of our project team are trained in positive communication. They're trained that they need to reply to radio messages, so you should expect a reply. And if you don't receive a reply, you need to assume that something's wrong, that there's a lack of radio communication there, or something's happened, and that there could be issues. The OSM bays are typically going to only be required during project hours, during project work hours. Outside of work hours, oversized overmass typically will be able to continue. The best place to get the information on that kind of thing is on the conditions of operation database published on TMR's website, because it does change. It can change as we move through the different phases of this project, and as the traffic corridor shifts around within the work site, that will change, as well as the width, for example, some of the constraints we have on width. So we really do encourage all heavy vehicle operators to check those conditions of operation before their travel, plan their route, notify the project in advance, 2 days ideally in advance, and then when you're actually on the road, approaching the roadwork site, start to call up the roadwork site. Now, we're going to do that today. Got a UHF radio here, and we're going to see if we can get some positive communication back that we're approaching. Copy Cunningham's Gap Roadworks, Wickham's B double on approach heading westbound.
Copy on the Wickham's B double heading westbound.
Thank you. We're just at the bottom of the range now. We'll keep you updated on our progress as we ascend.
I copy that.
So Bill, what I've just done there, I've spoken to a traffic controller. That was great. They've picked up that correspondence. We'll let them know that we've just arrived at the bottom of the range ascent, and what vehicle we're in. Now, if we were over width, we would advise the width of our load, our maximum width, or over length, we'd advise the length, and the same goes for mass. All right, Bill, we've just started the ascent at Cunningham's Gap, so we're getting closer to the roadwork site now. That means that the ordinary heavy vehicle UHF channel 40 can be used, the traffic control on UHF 40. So I'm just going to give them an update on where we are. Copy Cunningham's Gap traffic control. Just in the Wickham's B double for the filming special, just coming past the site offices at the bottom of the range. Copy Cunningham's Gap traffic control.
And the traffic.
Just in the Wickham Speed Double Film Special, we're just heading up the hill. We've just come past the site offices.
Okay.
So Bill, we're just coming past the helicopter landing area, which is about a quarter of the way up the Cunninghams Gap Ascent. There's a flat area here. Now this is a great opportunity for trucks to consider their weight, the type of configuration they've got, the sort of truck. Can you tell me a little bit about what you might choose to do in this location as you're ascending the mountain?
All right, so while you're here on the flats, it's a great idea to actually grab your diff locks and put your diffs in the lock. So it doesn't mean you're going to full drive, it just means that you're putting your inner axle diff lock in. And another good thing is to think about your fans. So for those guys who have Horton fans, so grab your fan, put your fan on, keep it nice and cool going up here. So diff locks on, fans on. We're now in two-wheel drive mode, and the fans operating, keep everything nice and cool, especially with the bigger weights.
Okay, and we've got a engine fan switch here as well. I think we're doing all right for temperatures. So we've come through the flat part. We've used that opportunity to come off the accelerator and engage our power divider. Now we're back into the ascent. It's starting to get a little bit steeper now, a lot of speeds washing off. It's probably a good opportunity soon to start to relay our position again as an OSM approaching the roadwork site for traffic control. We're in the left lane. This is one of the last opportunities for light vehicles and heavy vehicles to overtake safely. So Bill, another thing about the oversize over mass bay is we've tried to place it as close to the roadworks as possible. That's to limit delays. We've got a project, it's a very challenging construction site. We're trying to rebuild the highway on the side of a mountain. And so that means that we do have to have traffic control measures in place. We do need to narrow up the lanes in some places. And we do need to manage oversize over mass through this site. Now, we are continuing to keep freight moving through here. It is a project priority, but it does mean at times the oversize over mass bays, oversized vehicles may be directed to use those bays, come to a pause before they're able to safely proceed through the site. Now we have selected a location that is the best grade possible for this range, as in the lowest grade scenario possible, to allow those trucks to restart smoothly up the hill. We know that means that for some trucks and some configurations and loads, they may not be able to get out of a crawler gear. That's okay. They can take that time ascending the hill. The traffic controller will manage the traffic around the oversized overmass. They'll make sure that the oversized overmass is able to clear the project site safely before normal traffic operations resume. Copy Cunninghams Gap traffic control, Wickham Speed Double, just past the Bellbird rest area. All right, Bill, we're approaching the roadworks site. There's stacked signage here. I can start to see there's some signs saying oversize over mass, radio ahead. We've passed the Bellbird Park rest area. We're coming into some of the twists and turns located here. And so we should be starting to think about positioning of our heavy vehicle and making sure we've got that positive communication with your traffic control team here. So I'm going to radio again and let them know where we are. Copy Cunningham's Gap traffic control, Wickham Speed Double coming into the bottom part of the roadwork site now.
Speed Double Wickham, waiting for you up here.
All right, that's good. So we've got a reply, Bill, back from the traffic control team. The road environment now, I can see the start of the chevroning. We're back into a single lane environment. There's a sign advising us to call TC on UHF 40, a good time that we've just done that. We can start to monitor our speed and the gear we're in, the vehicles that are around us as well. There is signs at this point as well advising other road users to be truck friendly. And we are going to be soon moving over to the left to get ready to move into this oversized over mass bay. We would ask that when you do that in an oversized over mass vehicle, that you, as the heavy vehicle, if you're the last in your convoy, that you do put your hazards on as you're approaching. And so as you approach the bottom of the roadwork site, you will see a left slip lane. we're coming into that now. It's very good, and we will be.
We can double, just pull up here at the right up, eh? Plug up, eh?
Received, copy that. So traffic control have given us direction here, Bill, to come to a stop. So they're directing us to move up to the stop here. So there's a sign, stop here if directed. So we've got obviously a very long vehicle. And so we've moved over to the left. The TC in front of us is giving us clear directions. And we've come to a stop. We've got our hazards on, which is good.
Yep.
Our radio's working. We've got those positive communications established. And now we will wait for a direction of the traffic control before we continue proceeding.
It's all good. Main thing is keep an eye on your temperatures, like keep an eye on the coolant, keep an eye on the diff temperatures and gearbox temperatures. Air pressure is fine, and doing the hill start, make sure you got your diff locks in, not your cross locks, your diff locks. Lowest possible gear, so make sure we are in the lowest possible gear for this takeoff. Hill start assist, if you have a hill start assist. Heavy haulage guys will probably choose not to use hill start assist and just take off in a manual way. That being, foot on the brake, let the engine, bring the clutch up, let the engine start to die, then do a takeoff at idle. And once they take off, they will most likely stay in that crawl gear all the way to the top of the range, so they reduce the risk of breaking tail shafts or jack shafts. And then sometimes too, you might have a oversized load, which is no weight. It might be just a frame of something. So they'll up change their gears as required and quite safely do so. So it just depends what your weights are, what you got on.
What's happening now while we wait is the controllers are preparing the site to make sure it's safe for us to proceed.
Yep.
The queues are being cleared. The vehicles that are already within the roadwork site are descending or clearing the site.
Yep.
Once it's safe to do so, we'll be given a direction to recommence our ascent up the mountain.
And again, thinking about turbo timers and shut down engine management systems, just make sure you're aware of the vehicle you're driving. You know, like if your park brakes are on, just put it into high idle so it eliminates that risk of the engine shutting down while you're waiting here for the okay to go from the stopped area.
All right, Bill, so we're in a Kenworth automated truck with an 18-speed box. We're waiting at the OSAM bay. It's probably a good time to talk about how we'll safely restart. We're quite heavy. We're sort of up around the 70-ton mark. How we can restart off the line. We've got a little bit of a grade here. What are some of the things we might think about with a truck like this while we're waiting, and then also how we restart?
All right, well, here we go, I'm going to start now.
We've been given a direction to start, so the timing's good. Very good.
So we just did a slow start, just to get it going. So while you're stopped there, you probably had your park brake on. Now that empties all your chambers out, so before you go, make sure she's charged. So release your brakes, foot on the brake, make sure that your brakes are charged up so it's released. And of course, like we sat there with our foot on the brake and foot on the accelerator to give it a little bit of fan, to keep the fan going, keep the water cool, the coolant temperature cool, but also the air compressor, have the air compressor working, make sure that all our brake chambers were full, and making sure that we could roll off without any brakes being stuck on. When you're on big heavy weights, what gear you take off in will determine whether you can change gears. So if you're on high weight, that 70 ton plus, you're probably staying crawl all the way to the top. Or if there's a bit of a shallow part, you might be able to grab another gear. But just for this exercise now, I'm close to 70 ton. I'm just going to leave her and crawl here until I get it all nice and straight and find a bit of a shallow place to actually up change. Because we don't want any risk of breaking tail shafts or doing jack shafts or axles.
With the hill start, these trucks, this Kenworth and this arrangement we're in today, there's a brake, air brake on the park brake on the truck, and then there's an air park brake on the trailers. Some trucks, for example, you may start into that brake. In this configuration, we didn't. Can you tell me a little bit about why that's not a good idea to start into your park brakes?
Yeah, once you start putting your park brakes, especially your trailer brakes, if you drop your trailer brakes out, and say you're afloat and you had, say 8 axles or 6 axle floats or even a 4 axle float, that's a lot of brake chambers to fill up with air again. So, by me sitting there with my foot on the brake and holding the accelerator in an automated transmission in neutral, it just makes sure that all the brake chambers are full of air, and also all the air tanks are full of air. So, should you need to apply your brake, you've always got air there. Everything's full. It's just been prepared.
Yeah, and these trucks they're built to haul weight. So a hill start, the truck can do the hill start. You can idle out with a road ranger manual or an automatic. It can do the hill start. Really, what you're trying to prevent is rolling back. And in this case, we're on the way down. We're saying try not to use your foot brake. In this case, it's okay to use your foot brake. You've already come to a stop. The air's been discharged to that point. You're waiting there, and so what we did there to start off was we idled off with the heel toe, with the foot brake and the accelerator, and that stopped us from rolling backwards.
Exactly, and it's nice and safe. No stress on the gear. Brakes are cold. You're not trying to change gears and causing the cab to slap around and the driveline to get exposed to any excess pressure. So just keep it nice and smooth and easy on the gear. It's slow, and you'll probably pave a few people off behind you, but you're not going to have any chance of breaking any gear. Once we get up here on the flat, I'll up change, but here I'll just keep it nice and steady.
And that's okay. We've got many trucks coming through this roadwork site each day, and there's no expectation for trucks to have to work back up their gears. If you are of a configuration where the safest thing for you to do is stay in your crawler gear for this ascent, that's okay. The traffic control will manage the site while you do that.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's just, look, when you're oversized over mass or you're up on your weights, it's out of the ordinary. You have to pull up half up a range, but we've got to work with what we've got to work with, and we've got to keep everybody safe, and we've got to try to reduce the risk as much as we can.
So we're in second gear now, so we're still low box. We'll be number one on a low box, so it's quite a slow gear still. We're probably doing about 10, a little bit over 10, is it?
Oh, yeah, probably about 10k an hour, and we're sitting on around 1700 RPM, so high RPM, fan on, coolant going through the motor, air going through the radiator, water temperatures 85, probably 86, so everything's running nice and cool. Temperatures on the diffs are running nice and cool, so they're around about 60, 70, 70 degrees.
Very good.
Now up here, it's starting to flatten out. I've got a good straight run. Diff locks are in, so I've got less risk of trying to do any damage to the diff or the driveline. So I'm going to do an up change now. So just an up change, or split the gears if you want to in the old manual change. So
very nice.
Just do it nice and easy.
So
while I'm in a straight line, it's easy to change gears.
So fantastic bit of gear there. Quite incredible, really. So we're up to sixth gear there. So early on, taking that up to nearly 2,000 revs. Nice bit of straight road. We're able to work back up the gears and bring up the speed.
Without any stress on the driveline.
Very smooth. All right, Bill. We're well and truly on our way up now. We're in the Pro-Deck worksite. We're an oversized overmass vehicle. We've been given right of way. The opposing direction has been halted while we ascend based on our width. So that means if you're oversized over width, you have the road to use. We encourage you to do so. You've got to make sure that your width is getting through here safely, in particular with the roadwork site that is going to be on both sides of the road, making sure that your load is safely in the middle of that available width, in particular with other plant and machinery that might be on the sides of the road, just making sure you're safely traversing through. So things like checking your mirrors frequently, talking to your pilot frequently. You might have a pilot in the rear of you as well that can help you guide depending on your width and your configuration, and also listening as well for traffic control and whether they have any further directions. Is there anything else, Bill, as an oversized overmass ascending Cunningham's Gap?
Yeah, look, if you're obviously oversized, so you're going to be wide, you're going to be, up to 3.5 consistent loads. So you're going to be out over centre white line, so hence the reason why they control the traffic, to give you the range to go up so you can use the whole road. So just be observant to your surroundings, be observant to the structures that are around you, the containers here, the walls, the fences coming up. So be observant to the size of your vehicle, to the structures. Use the road. The road's yours. It's a very safe environment.
Very good. And of course, in I'd say 90% of cases or more, you're going to be going slow as you ascend the range. But if you are able to get up to speed, there's still that requirement to make sure you don't go over 40. There's a 40 kilometre per hour zone for roadworks. There's no dispensation on doing those speed limits. You still need to move safely through. So Bill, we're just getting up to the top of the range. Now this is quite notorious, this section. There's a change in grade, it gets steeper. Can you tell me a little bit about this spot?
All right, so this is pretty bad, especially heavy haulage or heavy B doubles in the wet weather. We have to make sure we got the your diff locks in, so you're certainly prepared for this. But the safest way to negotiate that is actually to go down a gear before the crest there, so it enables it to be ready to take that steeper incline. So it's a bit of a pinch, and it does trap a lot of people, and they try and grab a gear while they're in the pinch. If you try and grab a gear while you're halfway in that pinch and you're going around that corner and your suspension's lifting up the wheels with the weight down the back of your trailers, you ain't going to get up there. So you need to be prepared. So diff locks in, power divider in the old school, and making sure you go down that half a gear or full gear before you hit that pinch. Be prepared.
Yeah, so it's I guess the message there is, especially in a road ranger manual, trying to change gear where you're already into that increased descent, you're losing revs and you're going around a corner can become problematic. Yeah. Far better off changing down a whole gear earlier, before that last pinch on the gap. And really, I think that's a pro tip for Cunningham's Gap as you're ascending. It's a known spot. And the best bit about that, Bill, is I can say that as a part of this project, that last pinch is going to get removed.
Yeah, that's great news for the transport industry.
It's great news for heavy vehicles that use this every day. We're going to have a consistent grade at the end there. You will be able to ascend that last section with a consistent grade over the top of the hill.
Yes. No, it'll be very, very good. It'll be a lot easier on the gear. A lot less trucks getting stuck up there.
In the event that a breakdown occurs, we do have full-time block trucks available for heavy vehicles.
That's good. That's very good.
So if you find yourself in a situation where you've lost a gear, you've come to a stop, you might have lost traction, it might be a breakdown, whatever it may be, if you find yourself in difficulty, come to a safe stop,
Yep.
apply your park brakes on the heavy vehicle,
Yep.
put your hazard lights on,
Yeah.
and then call through to our traffic control. Again, you can contact them on 40, let them know what's going on, say, look, I'm having trouble getting up this hill. We will send a block truck to you. It'll be there within 15 minutes
Yep.
to help you up the range, continue up the range safely. Now, if you're heading westbound, they'll take you over the hill down to the Fisher Park rest area,
Yep.
where you can uncouple and you can continue on your way.
Right.
So that service bill is free of charge.
Oh, that's excellent.
There's no fee for that. The block truck is there to help heavy vehicles get over the range safely.
Yeah.
And if you need it, it's there. It's available. Just talk to the traffic controllers and ask for the block truck to be involved. Now, you may be of a weight and a configuration that you may ask for the block truck at the Ocean Bay.
Yeah.
That is an option.
Oh, okay.
So if you're not comfortable starting off with the gear that you've got or the weights you've got or whatever it may be, you can radio to the traffic controller to request that. The block truck will become available. We'll stiff bar the truck, front block truck, and
Yep.
take you up over the range safely, and then uncouple at the Fisher Park rest area.